Welcome to the Damascus Encounter, your popular program where we share very interesting testimonies of how people encountered Jesus and their lives never remained the same. I have with me in the house today someone who is very interesting and his story very unique. Perhaps you have also encountered Jesus, or you've made attempts severally wanting to be somebody or something, and somehow, strangely, you never hit the mark. On the Damascus Encounter today, we'll be having this wonderful chat and sharing of experience with Pastor Yohanna, Musa, Dangana. Pastor Dangana, welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
It's a joy to have you in the house.
I am also overwhelmed to be invited to this place.
Thank you.
I'm really glad for inviting me to be here.
Okay, so on the Damascus Encounter, we want to know, give us a little bit of your background, how you grew up, were you born Seventh-day Adventist, and what was the experience growing up?
Wow, that's nice. Really, I was born in a Seventh-day Adventist family.
Okay.
I am number 7 in the family reckoning.
Okay.
My father died in 1974, and we were 11 when he died.
11 in all?
11 in all.
Okay.
I'm number 7 of the 11.
Okay.
And my father was very instrumental in the establishment of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in my village.
Okay.
He worked with the missionaries there, and he was very helpful. He was a teacher in the community. He taught people how to read and write. And so my father was a household name in my village concerning Adventism and also helping people to read and write.
People. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's interesting. So as a young, upcoming Adventist kid, did you have interest in the AYM programs, the Adventist youth, the missionary Adventist youth programs?
No. That early, no.
Okay.
Actually, I was in a precipice. I was walking on a bad road.
That's growing up.
When I was growing up, I had every opportunity to know Jesus in the home, in the church. Every possibility was there. But because of bad influences, because of the peer group around me, my interest for Jesus and his work wasn't there. I was carried away by what was prevailing among my peer group.
Okay, so these friends of yours, were they Seventh-day Adventists, or they
some
friends
were,
from...
some were not. Many were not, but there were few of them that we also were together in the church.
Okay. Did you have anything in particular that you didn't like about the church that made the influence of your friends so strong on you growing up?
Not exactly, not that the church didn't have enough for me, but when you don't have your friends, all of them in the church, the other friends that are outside and they have stronger influence in you, you follow them, you are carried away by them. At that early stage, we didn't have youth ministry because in the village there was nobody who knew what was AYM.
Okay.
So it wasn't there. The highest we could see was choir. Even the choir ministry wasn't actually there in the village because the church was relatively new, so it wasn't well established there
At the time.
Okay.
All
these things came later.
All right.
Yeah.
So you grew up, and let's do a fast forward to you growing up, finishing secondary school.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, you have that name that everybody calls you, Soldier.
Oh, yes.
So how did you come about the name Soldier?
Wow. In the first place, I was born during the Nigerian Civil War.
Okay.
When it started in 1967 to 1970, that was around the time I was born, precisely 1968. And the pastor that was pastoring my parents that time had a son who was in the army. Okay. His name was Yohanna Jesse. And so during the war, he was in the eastern Nigeria.
Okay.
He ran and came back home in military uniform. And immediately he came home, my mother put to bed me. He was the one who carried me and in army uniform, and his father, who was our pastor then, my parents' pastor, said, this is another soldier. He's going to fight. He's going to be a military man in Nigeria.
Okay.
So the name soldier
Stuck with you.
stuck with me when I grew, and I heard the story. And the passion, I grew with it. After my primary school, went to secondary school in 1982. That was what was ringing in my head. I want to be a soldier. I joined the cadets in the school, Boy Scout, all these things.
All right.
I believed they were going to be helpful. And that was what was in my mind. That was my passion. That was my desire. Anything beside military service, military work, is not for me.
And so to get into the military at the time, one needed to finish secondary school education, or you could just join at any point?
Well, at that time, there was no necessity of finishing secondary school. Okay. But because I was young, I couldn't have been recruited that time. So finishing secondary school would have been an added advantage. All those who entered the service with minimal requirement of education were better than those who didn't go to school at all. So I believe after secondary school, I was prepared.
And ready for
it.
The action.
Yeah.
Okay, so you finished secondary school and you spent 10 solid years.
After my secondary school, I spent 10 years at home struggling, going up and down to be a soldier. I wanted that name to be realistic.
So, 10 years you were waiting. 10 years you struggled. 10 years you strived to be a soldier. What actually happened each time, and how many times did you make the attempt?
I made attempts over 4 times. I mean, I can say, let me say 5 times.
All right.
Every time, buy the form, fill it, go for recruit, run as the requirement says, pass through all the stages, and when it is time for the real recruit, the people that will be taken for service, my name will be conspicuously absent. I won't be there. Even after attestation saying fit for service as a young person, but my name will be absent. I won't get the job.
All 5 times?
All 5 times.
And was there any explanations?
Well, there were only 2 times explanations were given, but other times, no explanation. Just like that, your name didn't appear. Who removed the name, I don't know. What happened? Am I not qualified? Am I defective by my physics or in any way? No. Except the last 2 times when they said I had a large heart, according to the medical report. How could a 22, 23, 25-year-old boy with a large heart? Well, that was my curiosity. But that's all the officers told me. So I am not qualified.
So in all of this, some of those experiences, I want to dwell a little bit on your attempt to becoming a soldier. So you tried, it didn't work. You tried again, it didn't work. 2, 3 times, did you feel maybe this is not meant for me, or I just must try more and I must get this?
Well, I never thought that it's not the will of God. And well, God wasn't even there in my mind.
He wasn't in the picture.
He wasn't in the picture. All I was saying, somebody must be behind it. Among them there, somebody didn't like me to be there. Somebody is blocking my fortune. Somebody is standing in my way. But God wasn't actually the person I was suspecting, because he was not really in the picture of my mind. So I was out to be a soldier, and was looking for what is the problem that I'm not becoming. Some who didn't do well like me got it. Some who didn't go to school like me got it. Some who were not as fit as I was got it. So what is my own problem? What is my own explanation? No explanation. So I was very bitter with the people handling the process, because people were buying their ways into.
Okay, so did you register your protest or your unhappiness about the results? Because at some point they said fit for service.
Yes.
Then later, real recruitment, your name is dropped.
Yes.
So did you at any time protest this and try to help them see how unpleased you were?
You know, in that procedure, you have little or nothing to do. The moment they are saying your name is not there, they will just open the gate and some hefty military men will tell you, please, could you go out? And if you try to say no, you can be beaten, you can be mishandled. So you have to carry your bitterness out there, and that's all. You have nobody to protest to, nobody to complain to. You can only murmur a few things there and go away. You know.
So you had siblings. I believe some of your siblings knew your desire, your dream, wanting to be a soldier. So each time this failure came, what was the counsel, the advice, or the encouragement you got from them?
Actually, my siblings were very spiritual people.
Okay.
But these things I was doing, they were not all in the picture.
Okay, they never knew you were making
not
efforts.
If they were not in the picture, they didn't know I was working for this. I just wanted them to just see me in army uniform and tell them, brother, this is what I am now. Because I knew, like, my eldest brother will not agree.
So you had to do this on your own?
I was doing it in a clandestine way. Nobody knew what I was doing.
Let them in.
Especially my two older brothers, Daniel and Marcos. They were very spiritual and into church work, very, very serious. In fact, their influence had helped me to be what I am today. Okay. They paid my school fees. They did all of these things for me. Okay. So they were...
You left them out of the picture.
I left them out of the picture
purpose.
Because I knew they would not.
They would never agree.
They would never agree for me to go.
Okay, we'll come back and talk some more on that drive to be a soldier and what kept you on. Don't go away. We're back in a short while. Welcome back to the Damascus Encounter. And of course, we still have Pastor Yohanna Musa Dangana in the house, sharing with us his experience. 10 years in waiting, wanting to be a soldier, and what happened. So, Pastor Dangana.
Yes, sir.
10 years you waited. 10 years it didn't work. Before we move on, what exactly was your interest about being a soldier? Apart from the story, you were born, a soldier came home, and he was probably also Yohanna. But growing up, the passion for wanting to be a soldier, what exactly was your interest?
Wow, you are hitting the exact issue.
Okay.
You know, every young man has ambition.
Exactly.
Where he wants to go and what he wants to go and do there. My sincere passion in wanting to be a soldier was actually to participate in military coup.
Military coup?
True. Just to pull down a government and set up mine or ours.
So
I had intention of participating in coups. I was very interested, and I was seeing those who participated in coups as heroes, as the real men, as the real soldiers.
And those who participated in coups coup was considered to be treason?
It was, but it shows that you love the country and you want bad things to stop, because those who participated in coups, they are the ones who bring changes in national development. For example, in our country, when you notice those who brought down coups and all these coupists, they were the people who brought development to Nigeria. The states that we have today were states that were created by military governments. No politician has created one state. Major universities that we have today, especially the first generation universities and the prime ones were the ones established by military governments, coupists.
So
even our major roads that we have today were built by coupists, military governments. So politicians, you cannot count 1, 2, 3 major development that they have brought to the country. So I was interested in being a soldier and to participate in coups so that I can put my name on gold.
So did it ever matter to you whether or not you got involved in a coup, whether it was successful or not?
No, you know, of course, when a coup fail, usually they kill them.
It's death, exactly.
It's death. But I didn't care about that. I didn't care about whether successful or unsuccessful. Let it be that I participated in a coup.
Your name be registered.
That I was a coupist.
That's interesting.
Yes.
So, because I still don't know how to wrap my head around it, what exactly it was in it. So, but if it became successful, you had some dreams or something you wanted to do for the country?
Of course, you know, when a coup is successful, all those who participated, they will be promoted to general. Some of them will be governors. Some of them will be ministers.
Exactly.
Anybody whose name was in the list will enjoy in the booties that they are going to share. So I was actually interested in participating in military coups so that I will do this and I will do that for my state, for my village, for my people, for my church, even though I wasn't quite a good church goer. But I had interest because those who did that are the ones who brought development to their communities. And so I was interested in participating in the coup.
I find that very, very interesting. But be that as it may, you made the attempt, this did not work, and then did you at any point in time ask yourself, I mean, after 10 years, or maybe I should just put it this way, so what changed?
Wow. Later on, when all these thoughts faded in the thin air, there was a dramatic change in my life. And that was exactly after those 10 years, 1986, 87, 10 years later, 1996, 97. Okay. It was in the farm. I stood up and I felt like somebody passed here. There was an evidence of a movement around me.
Okay.
I checked around whether it was a snake, no. Whether an animal passed across here, no. And I stood there for a moment.
Wondering what it was.
Wondering what is happening. And I felt it within me that something dramatic is taking place here. Who passed? Nobody. But there was a rush, there was an evidence, there was a movement, there was a sound.
And you had that feeling of your hair standing
my hair at that time rose up. My hair, all my hair. There was a movement on my head. And that was the end of the day's work. Took my hoe and went back home.
You never understood what it was at the end of the day?
I didn't understand the purpose for that until a few days later. And then all of a sudden, the same passion I had for military work was the same passion that came over me, the same magnitude of wanting to be a pastor.
So suddenly you felt like being a pastor. And
so sudden.
Wanting to be a pastor, this took like how many days, you said, after that experience of feeling that movement?
It took up to 2 weeks.
Up to 2 weeks?
Up to 2 weeks. So after those 2 weeks, then the thoughts came.
So would it be right to say that in 2 weeks you kept wondering and asking the question,
what is going on? What is happening? And I was indoors, didn't go anywhere.
And the drive and desire to be the soldier thing, they were no longer there.
No, the desire to be a soldier faded. Even somebody that came who was very influential, he said, I heard long ago you want to be this, and you did this, you did that, you didn't get. Why didn't you tell me? Oh yeah, let's go. I assure you 100% with every single probability you will be taken. I say, no. No longer interested in being a soldier. The name stuck with me till today, but the desire to be was no longer there. So he was disappointed. He said, so it means you weren't serious. I said, at that time I was, but now I am not. No longer desiring, no longer interested.
So did he ask you what exactly you wanted to do?
No, at that time I wasn't sure of what I wanted to be, or whether I wanted to be a pastor. Even though I was nursing the feeling, but it wasn't quite sure. So I didn't tell him why.
When exactly did it strike you and you knew or felt, this is it, I want to be or go into ministry?
I got an admission in Kaduna Polytechnic.
Okay.
I was studying NCE Technical, and I was majoring in metal technology.
Okay.
I was already in year 2 to go into the final year, and that was when the desire was very overwhelming. I couldn't contain it. In the dormitory, I was no longer going to class. My roommate asked me why. I say, I don't know. My mind is no longer in this school. My mind is no longer here.
You just wanted to.
My teachers weren't seeing me in class. Even my best subjects and my favorable teachers weren't seeing me in class. They sent for me, I came, and they saw me looking not myself. A woman said, Yohanna, you are not yourself. Something is happening to you. You were doing well in this class, in this subject, in that subject, and in that subject. Now, you are not even coming to class, talk less of doing well or bad. You are no longer a student. You don't come to class. Coming to class indicates that you are a student. So throughout that semester, I was home. My brothers didn't know I wasn't going to class. Until one day, I went and told my elder brother, the treasurer, Marcos Dangana, that I want to be a pastor. That was the first time I opened up to him. He discussed it with his eldest brother. Okay. And I left the school, took my bag, I left. I didn't complete the studies there, and I came back home because I didn't have the desire anymore. You know, when desires are not met, you feel disappointed and even frustrated. And that drives people into doing all sorts of things. And that was exactly with me. Of course, we smoked. If it was only smoking, we would say it was... but there were other bad things we were doing. You know, terrorizing people on the road, blocking road, learning to steal. If we had guns and weapons, we could have done something more harmful. All these things, we attempted doing them. Far later on, I realized that I was on the wrong direction, going into a precipice, going into the wrong place. And that was why finally I went to the Polytechnic to reorganize myself and let me find a better direction.
Yeah, and so that's the point I was trying to make. And in all of this, that change, moving down to the Polytechnic, you still did not feel at that time that it was God who was turning things around for you, did you?
Well, of course, I realized that God was in it.
Okay.
But I didn't know exactly what direction.
Okay.
So in the school, that was where the dramatic change came, when I actually felt like being a pastor. Left going to class, no longer interested in the course I was studying, of which I was doing well. And then came back home and confided in my brother.
And nothing was going to change your mind or stop you from being a pastor?
Nothing again. It was a final decision, and that is it. I knew this recent direction, there was God's hand in it.
And
because all other attempts of wanting to be something else fail. Nothing. The soldier work, of course, that one is long ago. Then to be a teacher,
that one also you had to.
It didn't work. To study metal technology,
didn't work.
That one I started well, but along the line, the interest faded, lost it completely. Then what would I want to be?
And so that was the Damascus encounter.
And
something changed.
See it. I see God's hand in it. I was moving north, and God quickly grabbed me and turned me back down south.
Exactly.
That was how I became a pastor.
Okay.
Well, after I became a pastor, then the revelations came to me in clear picture. The Lord spoke to me so conspicuously that I cannot forget. Being a soldier, I was actually on the wrong direction. But I can also be a soldier of Christ.
Exactly.
I can be a soldier in the church. I can push the work of God with that zeal. And that is exactly what I realized later in my life.
Exactly. Interesting. Thank you very much, Pastor Yohanna Musa Dangana, for sharing your experience and being with us on the Damascus encounter today.
Yes.
Perhaps you have been thrilled and you also got excited by Pastor Dangana's story, and perhaps Jesus is talking to you and also calling you. You never can tell. If you listen and follow that path, you also might be a soldier for Christ. We'll wrap it up on today's edition of the program, hoping to have you same time when the show comes up, and we'll be having another interesting encounter with Jesus on the road to Damascus. Until then, stay blessed.